No, that carnivore diet has been gaining in popularity.
I
My
can
brother.
see why. Meat's good.
All right, so welcome to episode 92 of Farm to Markets. This is the show where participants only get 5 minutes to state their opinions, and the person with the most time at the end wins, but there are no prizes. Today we are talking about home insurance companies, the end of the AI bubble, students lacking basic skills, hiking boots or hiking shoes, and battery phone problems. So home insurers are charging more as they try to claw their way back to profitability after losing money in 5 of the past 6 years. Analysts and insurance agents say since the start of last year, double-digit rate increase have been approved in 31 states, according to the S&P 500 Global Intelligence Market for the Wall Street Journal. Arizona, Texas, North Carolina, Oregon, Illinois, and Utah had the biggest total of approved increases, ranging from 20% to 30%. In states such as California, some insurers are halting sales of new policies. What are your thoughts about the insurance situation here? Like, what do you think? What do you think people are going to do about it, and where do you think it's going?
Well, I think this is a real bummer, particularly for the folks that live in areas that are prone to these severe weather conditions. But it makes sense. The more expensive it is for insurance companies, the more expensive it's going to be for insurance policies. Now, if the government doesn't step in and try to help, then what I think will happen is folks will probably just start to move out of these areas where home insurance is high, or perhaps where homes are just uninsurable at this point. You might see group sharing programs emerge in these areas, or new insurance companies that cater to the risk profile of those specific areas. Again, this is assuming that the state insurance regulators even allow it. But right now, insurance companies simply can't afford to have these high risk areas on their books. So they're either dropping those policies completely, or they're jacking up the rates on all of these policies. I think the article said that in five of the past 6 years, they've been paying out more than they've been bringing in. And feel free to check my math on this, but that doesn't work out from a business perspective. So there's definitely going to be some shift. Either people are going to move, we're going to see some shuffling there, or we're going to see the government step in and try to help. And at that point, all bets are off.
I agree with everything that Drew said, is that if you're going to do something foolish, don't do foolish by yourself. Make sure you do foolish with millions and millions and millions of other people. So then you have a voting block, and then you can actually get government assistance. And this is an area where I think that really reigns true, particularly in some of the larger markets where you have lots of voters in Texas and in California who sit on both sides of the aisle. And this will be seen as a huge bipartisan victory to get the federal government to start subsidizing some of these insurance risks. And when that happens, you can expect the price per unit to go up, but the consumer's not going to feel it, but the taxpayers certainly will.
Yeah, because where do you go? I mean, is it at some point it just gets so like so cost prohibitive to insure these companies? Yeah, that politicians come in like, oh, we're going to solve your problems, and then all of a sudden it's basically like a healthcare type of thing. So yeah, no, it gets ridiculous, but it is scary for people who live in California, and basically everybody's insurance companies are just like, hey, we can't insure you unless you go like build a perimeter, like a fire perimeter around your home, and install like like house sprinklers and like all this kind of stuff. It because there's a lot of upfront costs in order to get like an insurance company to actually insure your home in California. Yeah, apparently you have to go take all these like fire safety measures to get them to even consider you. It's expensive, and it would be a bummer to find out one day that your home is no longer insured.
Right.
I wonder if some of that also has to do with civil unrest. When you take a look at states like Illinois and Oregon, where you've got Chicago and Portland, where they're basically just lawlessness, run amok. I wonder if that's having some impact on insurance costs.
There's certainly fraud. I know that fraud is pretty high now in a lot of those areas. So I agree that could be a factor.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from what I've read, most of it's like fire related, but it could be civil unrest too, like downtown San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I want a new roof. You're already writing checks. Write me one too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, is that so? Artificial intelligence was all the rage at the start of 2023, but interest in the technology has faded in recent months. Do you think AI stocks are just taking a break, or did they run up too much too fast?
I think this is kind of like watching the 400-meter dash at an elementary school track meet, right? So the gun goes off and all the kids just start sprinting their hearts out. And it doesn't matter what happens after the first curve. Every kid wants to be up front and every kid wants to go as fast as they can. Well, invariably, about after the half of the lap, the entire field is basically shuffling or they're walking. Whatever, they're certainly not going as fast as when they first started. Now they all finish because once you're halfway through a lap, it's just as far to get back to the starting line. But they're certainly not going as fast as they were. So I think that's what's going on with this AI boom is gun went off, everyone wanted in, everyone's investing in it. Now they're still continuing. They haven't dropped out of the race, but it's certainly slowed significantly.
Well, I really don't think the marketplace has seen the productivity increases relative to the price run-ups that we've experienced so far. So to Drew's point, yes, is that I think that a lot of these companies kind of got ahead of themselves in their stock valuations, but it remains to be seen what sort of impact they could have. But from my vantage point, I think the sky is the limit on AI, is that we're still discovering ways that they're going to have an impact to improve our lives. And I think they're going to increase productivity. And I think they're going to justify whatever high multiples they actually are going for in the marketplace.
The Motley Fool article by Travis Mahoney or whatever his name was. It's kind of interesting because did you see that he was basically tracking Google Trends searches, for artificial intelligence related search terms. So, for instance, the number of people that search for the term Chat GPT since January, before January, it was zero, obviously, because it hadn't been released yet. And then after that, it spiked way up. And then now, and it's basically just been like this progressive search down. So his theory was as people stop searching for AI related, search terms, interest will decline. And so will the interest in stocks. And then he compared that to, NVIDIA, and then was it C3.ai, the stock, and all of those saw this huge run up, and then they're starting to taper off a little bit. My guess is number one, people that originally everybody wanted to know what Chat GPT was. You probably know at this point. Anybody who cares has probably Googled it, and I imagine they have it bookmarked or something like that. They don't need to search for the terms. I don't think Google Trends is a good prediction of where stocks are going. It's certainly interesting and certainly an interesting way to look at it, but I don't know how much faith I would put into that. And then also I think it ran up really fast, and then it's kind of like that Austin Powers steamroller thing I talked about last week, is that you got to wait, even though it is pretty revolutionary. The lag between when you realize how powerful it is and before you actually seeing it incorporated in a lot of stuff is probably longer than most people anticipate. So you're not going to see an overnight revolution. Even if it is fairly quick, you're still going to take 6 months to a year to start seeing some adoption and some of these other products rolling out with it. So I think the stocks probably did get overheated pretty quick, and now we're going to have this waiting period to see how legit some of these earnings forecasts and stuff are. So far, Google, Tesla, and some of these other companies have actually delivered, but we're going to see if NVIDIA keeps delivering into the third and fourth quarter.
Even if they don't, I think that everyone that wanted a seat at the table or some skin in the game just got in while they wanted to right off the bat. And I guess you're right. We'll see what happens with the earnings. But to your point, Dad, I think sky is the limit, and it's going to take a while before people fully realize what the capabilities are. Oh, sorry, I was on your time there, Tom.
That's all right. Okay. Oh well, I'll just give myself a few minutes here. Let's see.
Well, I was hoping you were going to win this one. We got to overthrow the reigning champion.
In my head, I just credited myself 3 minutes. So right now I'm winning. All right. So the remote learning during the pandemic left students short on basic skills, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now companies are trying to teach them on the job. The knock-on effort of years of remote learning during the pandemic is gumming up workplaces around the country. It is one reason professional service jobs are going unfilled and goods aren't making it to the market. It also helps explain why national productivity has fallen over the past 5 quarters, the longest contraction since 1948, according to the U.S. Labor Department. The shortcomings run the gamut from general knowledge, including how to make changes register, to soft skills such as working with others. Employees are spending more time and resources searching for candidates and often lowering expectations when they hire. Then they are spending millions to fix new employees' lack of basic skills. Do you agree with this article that remote learning is the cause of students' lack of basic skills?
I guess when you pose the question like that, I see it more as like the pandemic and COVID-19 remote learning, that was kind of the canary in the coal mine, so to speak. I think our education system has experienced problems before the pandemic, but remote learning certainly didn't help. I think that the whole remote learning took the accountability away from students to focus and learn and stay motivated. I mean, when the cats are away, the mice will play, and that's kind of what we saw. But the writing was on the wall when schools went full remote. I think I even remember talking to you guys like 3 years ago that this would probably present a kind of a sick opportunity to bet against the U.S. economy as more uneducated and unskilled workers are absorbed into our system. And it's a bummer for everyone, as this is going to have effects throughout the whole economy. But glass half full, this does present a fantastic opportunity for younger workers to compete in the workforce. Sounds like all one needs is a go-getter attitude and an internet connection, and one will be buoyed to the top percentile of their contemporaries. Now, if I were competing with like this many people before, and now I hone my soft skill and technical skills, and now I'm competing with this many people, well, to me, that's an opportunity. So I don't think it's all bad. You can really use this as an opportunity to succeed, particularly if you're young.
Well, I think I agree with Drew that it's not all bad for an individual, but I think for society, it's a real problem. Is that in order for us to continue to enjoy all the fruits that free enterprise and free markets have offered us for the last 300 years, we have to have not only educated but moral people with good work ethic in order to constantly pursue better tomorrows than we have today. I think that this whole pandemic remote learning is nothing more than a convenient excuse for all of the above players, whether it's teachers, administrators, or students. They all can go, whoo, it's not our fault. We can blame this on remote learning. I've in the last year or so, I've had an opportunity to spend a lot of time working side by side with the homeschool community. And as a cohort, this community is amazing. And I predict that in the next 25 years, we're going to see a huge amount of inequality in outcomes from the people who homeschool relative to the people who are depending on government education for their children. I mean, the difference between the two is just you can cut it with a knife. It's so evident. So it's not remote learning. Systemically, government education is failing their stakeholders on a pretty high level.
Yeah, I would also not blame remote learning. Also, I've seen articles like this before the pandemic where new hires were basically lacking on soft skills, and I don't think they teach it in. At least not the college I went to. They never taught it. But yeah, education doesn't stop like in the classroom. I mean, parents should have a vested interest in their child. So if your kid's going to school, I mean, you want to be you should be involved in what they're learning, and hopefully at home you're trying to develop like these soft skills, like how to work with others. I mean, that's a pretty basic skill that people should. And this is also a thing where if you want to do well in society, like you'll figure these things out. Whereas if you're just going to do the bare minimum, then you'll probably struggle with soft skills, I guess. I don't know. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so many hikers are leaving the more conventional hiking boot at home in favor of a featherweight running sneaker. Outdoor retailer REI Coke said that sales of trail running shoes have increased by over 11% over the past 5 years. When you go hiking, do you use a hiking boot or do you use the running shoe?
Running shoe all the way. Now you do have to be careful because you want to develop your ankle strength and stability before you jump right into running shoes. When you're backpacking with a 30 to 60-pound backpack and you roll your ankle, you do have to have those stability muscles developed before you jump right into a sneaker. But oh yeah, I love hiking and backpacking my running shoes.
I have difficulty making the leap to wearing running shoes, but I see the wisdom in it. I wear boots only because I've been wearing boots my entire life, but the evidence is clear that the lighter your shoe, the better the hiking experience.
Yeah, or the running shoes, absolutely. Yeah, technology in those things is pretty good. All right, the last one here. Heat is the number one enemy for batteries, according to phone makers and battery experts. It isn't just sweltering summer temps that cause heat damage. Fast charging and processor intense tasks such as gaming or recording videos can make your phone feel hot. If your phone starts overheating, it limits your phone's ability to function. So have you noticed any like overheating issues or anything like that with your phone recently, or like in the later iterations of these smartphones?
I had an S5 for like 8 years, and that ended with severe heat. And then I think I inherited your old S8, Dad, and I had that for like 5 years before it started to overheat. Right now, I bought like a 2-year-old phone, so I probably have a few years left. But all of my phones have usually gave up the ghost with ending in severe heat. So yeah, I do have experience with that.
I've had my phones heat up, but I haven't noticed any decline in performance. So yes, I experience heating up, but no decline in performance.
I experience the heat problem all the time. In fact, driving home lately, I've had to like cool my phone down with the car's air conditioner.
I've witnessed.
Yeah, and so mine's but all of my phones have ended because they basically just melted, and I feel like mine's gonna have that issue here shortly. So yeah, it's definitely a problem. All right. Okay, so as usual, Joe won Farm to Markets. So
I think I talked about on like 4 minutes of your time. So I think
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So maybe I'll just declare myself the winner. Yeah. No, but no, we might have to like give Joe like a handicap or something like that. Like we'll start you with 3 minutes.
I think you should just retire the trophy. Just give it to me in memorial.
We'll put we'll give you one of those paintings of you like in a suit, like grabbing your what they call it, the the side of your jacket, looking majestic.
Oh, like Napoleon.
Yeah.
Or like the chairman Mao.
Yeah,
where
exactly. Just have it in the back of the office there. Memorialize it. So. All right, so that's it for episode 92. We'll see you again next week.